Hi, I'm Darren Ruffle from Latte, and today I am going to show you the basics of making an espresso using a semi-automatic espresso machine, using an approach what we like to call the golden rule of making espresso. So the golden rule to making espresso is brewing a shot of espresso in 20 to 25 seconds. So to brew a double shot of espresso, you're going to want to brew 2 to 2.5 ounces of espresso, and it should use 14 grams of coffee. For a single shot, you're going to want to brew 1 to 1.5 ounces of espresso using 7 grams of coffee. So most machines will come with a 7-gram scoop to help you measure your espresso, 1 scoop being 7 grams of coffee, 2 scoops being 14 grams of coffee. So the variables to achieving a 20 to 25 second shot of espresso are going to be number 1, how tight or firmly you're packing or tamping your espresso, and number 2, how fine or coarse you're grinding your espresso. So there's certainly going to be other variables such as the temperature that you're brewing your espresso or the type of coffee you're using, but for the purpose of this video, I'm going to go over the basics to making a good espresso. So I might also add it's important to use a consistent tamp pressure. We say in the golden rule to use around 30 pounds of pressure, and if you're unsure of how to do that, I actually recommend pressing down on a bathroom scale to gauge what 30 pounds of pressure feels like. Alright, so now that I've described the basics of making espresso, let's go ahead and brew a shot and see how I do. So if you're using your machine for the first time for today, what I like to do actually is to brew a blank shot through my portafilter. I actually don't even put any coffee in my portafilter into the cup I'll be using. That serves 2 purposes. Number 1, it heats up your portafilter, and number 2, it'll heat up the cup that you're brewing into, which actually could increase the temperature in your cup 10 to 20 degrees. So now I'm going to go ahead and make a double shot of espresso. I'm going to start with 2 level scoops of coffee in my coffee scoop here. 1, 2. And before I tamp, I'm just going to give the portafilter a little bit of a shake to get a nice even distribution of coffee grounds before I actually tamp. And then I'm going to go ahead and tamp my espresso in the portafilter using about 30 pounds of pressure. Again, the most important thing is to use a consistent amount of tamp pressure every time. Alright, so now that I've loaded my shot of espresso, I'm going to go ahead and put my portafilter in the brew group here securely. I've got my timer here, and let's see how I did. So as an example, if you're brewing your shot of espresso and say it takes 10 to 15 seconds, that's a good sign that it's coming out way too fast, and what you want to do is you want to either pack it a little bit more tight, and if you find, you know what, I'm really putting a lot of pressure on my tamp and it's still coming out too fast, then that's a good sign you want to adjust your grinder to grind a little bit more fine. Likewise, if it's taking, say, 30 to 40 seconds to brew your shot of espresso, that's a good sign that you've packed it either too tight, and if you find, you know what, I'm barely even touching it and it's still coming out too slow, then that's a good sign you want to adjust your grinder to grind a little bit more coarse. Alright, so there you have a basic approach to making espresso. I'm Darren Ruffle from Latte. I hope you enjoyed this video.